Good morning, everyone. Welcome, firstly, to the Cottesloe room at the National Theatre. We're delighted to have you all with us this morning for Staging the Real. My name is Judith Merritt, and I'm Head of Talks and Exhibitions here at the National Theatre. It's been our pleasure to work with UAL on this event, and particularly honoured to work with the 3 Jocelyn Herbert Fellows, which we'll learn lots about today. So I won't say too much more, but welcome to Matt, Eleanor and Sophie. It's also been a pleasure to work with the committee for the Jocelyn Herbert Foundation, who have come today also in many numbers to join us for the seminar. We're delighted to welcome esteemed guests, and you're going to hear lots and lots, and you've got lots of information about them in your programme. So again, I'll just say welcome all for their contributions today. Because I work here, I'm going to tell you all the boring bits now. So the boring bits are we're not experiencing a fire alarm today, fingers crossed. If we do, and you hear the alarm, myself or my colleague Bridget will come and tell you exactly what to do. The toilets, as you may or may not have known, are outside this door, up on the staircase just to your left. Teas and coffees, there will be breaks and you can have teas and coffees outside, but please just bring cold drinks back into the room. Other than that, we'd just like to hand over now to Simon, who's going to welcome from UAL. And is it Eileen first? Apologies. Good start. Eileen's going to talk to you first. Thank you ever so much, everyone.
Thanks, Judith. It's welcome to everybody. It's lovely to see so many familiar faces here today, actually. And I'm going to tell you a bit of a backstory about the reason why we're all sitting here, which is because of Jocelyn Herbert. And I'm assuming that everybody in this audience knows who Jocelyn is. Jocelyn lived a long time. She was born during World War I, and she died in 2006. Although she worked in many different theatres and opera houses in Europe and America, her natural home was George Devine's English Stage Company at the Royal Court, which he set up in 1956. In her obituary, in The Guardian, she was described as one of a tiny group of people who could be called a conscience for British theatre. This, as well as her huge talent and achievements as a designer, meant that she was very widely loved and respected. This is reflected in the unusually extensive archive that Jocelyn kept all her life, which included drawings beginning when she was a student in the 1930s, correspondence with all the directors and writers she worked with, model boxes, ground plans, masks and costumes, and for me particularly, most significantly, her notebooks, which included, for instance, drafts of difficult letters, such as to Laurence Olivier about the design of the Olivier stage. So the archive contains her letter and his reply. She made lists which included buy loo paper, write to Sam, wash hair, and Sam, of course, was Samuel Beckett. Her working process can be tracked through the orderly lists of materials, for instance, when she was filming Wells of August with Lindsay Anderson, and her frustrations can be mapped through the explosive pages written at the end of long days filming, also on the Wells of August, and often after wine. And you can tell by the changes in handwriting, as well as the expletives about Lindsay, whom she also loved. Not many theatre designers keep such extensive archives, because theatre is difficult to archive. It's transitory, it's live, people move on quickly to the next project, and it's hard to store. Archiving is not top of most designers' agendas. But when a designer such as Jocelyn does, then it provides vivid insights into the stuff of theatre and performance, the history, the contents, the politics, the changes, the emotions, the personalities, and the process. Theatre design archives are not only problematic for the designers to store, they're also very difficult for archivists. Jocelyn wanted her archive not to be in a museum, but for it to be used by students and practitioners. And the writer and oral historian, Cathy Courtney, who edited Jocelyn Herbert's A Theatre Workbook and is a trustee for Jocelyn's work, together with 2 of her children, Kathy and I found a home for the archive at Wimbledon, where it was for 8 years. We did a lot with it there, and the students had a wonderful hands-on experience of it, but it needed better access. So it's now at the National Theatre, which is very much thanks to Erin Lee, the head of archives there. Together with colleagues from Wimbledon, particularly Jane Collins and Peter Farley, and from the National Theatre, Erin, Judith Merritt and Alice King-Farlow, we've worked very hard to get Jocelyn's archive used in different ways and to make theatre design a more visible subject. And you'll see some of the student work later on this afternoon. In 2010, we initiated a series of lectures here at the National which take a 360-degree look at theatre design from the perspective of a designer, the writer, the actor, the critic and the director. And I'm delighted to say that the next lecture, which is the 8th one, will be by the director Roy Williams on the 8th of March in the Littleton. And Roy will give a paper later on today. We have 4 very distinguished Jocelyn Herbert Fellows. Eleanor Margolis, who has researched and curated the exhibition Playing with a Scale in the Wolfson Gallery, which you'll see later. Sophie Jumpt, whose website will explore the role of the theatre designer in the creation of performance by looking at key productions by Jocelyn, William Dudley and Ray Smith, and it will be launched in 2019. We have the designer and director Alts as an associate fellow, and today's symposium is Matthew McFrederick's outcome, and you'll be seeing a lot of him later on today. I'd like to thank Matthew and all the speakers in advance of the day, and I'm going to hand over now to Simon Betts, who's the Dean of Performance at Camberwell, Chelsea and Wimbledon.
Eileen, thank you very much. And a very warm welcome to everybody here for this Staging the Real Symposium. It promises to be, I think, a really interesting day looking at aspects of stage, designing for the stage, and what we might mean by reality. And I was thinking on the train as I came in, squashed in with everybody. When I first came to London around about 1986, I worked for Victor Mara Limited, scene builders and painters, and they gave me a job one year. Finally, they decided I was okay to paint some flats that were just off stage of a bathroom, and they were dappled ceramic tiles. So when the door was opened, from part of the audience you could see my dappled ceramic tiles. And I made sure when I had a ticket to go that I went and positioned myself so I could see my dappled ceramic tiles. But of course they were not real ceramic tiles. They were painted ceramic tiles pretending to be real tiles. And I think that notion of what is real within theatre design is a very complex but a very fruitful field to talk about. And I think we're living at a time when the singularity of the real no longer exists, if indeed it ever did. And with populism's denigration of many of our realities and the promotion of fakeness as a new sense of asymmetrical realities that was now part of our lives to be navigated. So we no longer have certainty. We no longer have the security of our own individual perceptions of reality. Furthermore, physics is at the forefront of proposing that what we thought was real is not. And the fine arts, design and media openly explore, scrutinise and use the potential of the real as materiality for creating what I might call hybridised perceptions of experience. So I think this symposium's timing is perfect, and I think the questions it will raise are highly pertinent. How can theatre designers use ideas of the real as a materiality to frame and reframe visual embodied experiences? So we have today a very exciting range of speakers and panellists, very eminent in the field, and I'm sure they will present their thoughts about staging the real through a number of critical and experiential lenses. And we also have some presentations from students of Wimbledon College of Arts And I think this event offers them a unique platform to add to the discourse and to contribute to our understanding. I'd like to thank everyone who has organised this event, particularly Matthew, for what I think is an extraordinary opportunity for all of us. And I want to take this opportunity to again thank the National Theatre for hosting the event. Wimbledon College of Arts and the National Theatre have a very good relationship which is developing. And over the next 3 years, as Wimbledon transfers from being a college that has fine art and theatre and performance to one that will be completely dedicated to theatre and performance, I hope very much that that relationship will continue to grow and to deepen, and that we'll be able to support further symposia such as this. So welcome to Staging the Real, and I hope you have a very stimulating and enjoyable day. Thank you.